Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 13 of the Day or Night in the Desert podcast. I am James Knight, along here with Zach Morris, and before we get started today, we just want to remind everybody to subscribe and turn on post notifications on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. Our subscribers have been a little back and forth recently with our views, but overall it's on a good trajectory, so we'd like to keep that going today. And today we have some really good content for everybody. We're first going to talk about the Masters. As we said, we were going to give you guys a recap of that. Rory Mcilroy, who had to wait more than a decade, 17 years to be exact, to win his first green jacket and complete the career Grand Slam last year, wins for the second year in a row. He had a 6-shot lead on Friday before blowing that lead on Saturday, but ultimately rallied to win the green jacket by one shot over Scottie Scheffler, who at one point was down 11 shots, but managed to come back on the weekend. Had rounds of 65 and 67 on the weekend. What was your reaction to Rory finishing the deal at Augusta and just the overall perspective of that?
I thought it was pretty magnificent from what he did. He lost the lead early on, but then he gained it back. But then he kind of lost it going through the final round. But on that back nine, he finished it out and just took over the field and overly came away with his second green jacket, and I'm sure that he is really pleased. I am really happy for him. I am happy for what I saw from him from Thursday all the way to Sunday. It's not easy playing Augusta National. It's hilly. Let's just say that this Masters is unlike anything that we've ever seen before. A back-to-back champion. Not a lot of people have done that besides Tiger Woods and Jack Nicklaus. But yeah, the Masters is a really fun tournament to watch. I have gotten a really good perspective out of it from being there and then watching it on TV. But yeah, what I saw out of Rory this week was just, he was cool, calm, collected, and he just had a lot of fun out there. And I'm just happy for him for getting that second green jacket. And I will make a prediction for next year. Rory Mcilroy will win his third green jacket in a row. No questions, ands, ifs, or buts about it. He will win his third green jacket.
So that's a very interesting prediction. And one of the things that I saw from Rory, too, that I was really impressed by was his grit and perseverance through the tough parts of that tournament. You know, he had a 6-shot lead. That's a pretty big lead going into Saturday at the Masters, and, you know, everything was going great. And then he kind of fell apart a little bit on Saturday. Didn't have his best stuff. Wasn't hitting as many fairways and as many greens. And obviously the double bogey at 11 didn't help either. And then missed a couple of key putts on Sunday. Ultimately, being able to overcome that was super important. I'm not going to go with Zach on this and predict Rory to win it next year. Obviously, it would be really cool to see that. But I just think Scottie Scheffler's going to come back into his own. And ultimately, I think Scottie Scheffler is going to come away with the Masters victory next season. You know, he hasn't won it in a couple of years, but he's still the best golfer in the world, in my opinion. And he showed that grit and toughness as well on the weekend at Augusta. And so I really liked seeing that. And yeah, it was just great to be able to watch the Masters. And it's a tradition unlike any other every single year. And it was amazing to see Rory do that. So congratulations to him. I do, though, think Rory does have more green jackets in his future, just not next year with the pressure of three-peating.
What do you think about Sergio Garcia and his outburst on the second hole with throwing his club over to the creek?
I mean, I'm not going to think too much about that, to be honest. Sergio sometimes has acted immature on the golf course, but I mean, sometimes I act immature on the golf course. People hit bad shots. They sometimes react to what's going on out there. And it's a tough environment to play in. And when you're not playing well, it's easy to let your frustrations get the best of you. So while I do think he needs to watch his frustration and his anger, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't think we need to read too much into that. But I do think it's interesting to notice how players kind of react on the golf course under pressure. And trying to win a big tournament like that can be immensely difficult. And there's a lot of pressure, and there's, you know, cameras constantly flickering in your face and patrons wanting autographs and things to that effect. And so it can be difficult to manage all of those expectations. And so from time to time, I think you're going to see that frustration come out of those guys.
Do you think we'll see Phil or Tiger next year?
I mean, I think it remains to be seen. hopefully they're both doing good. Obviously, we know Phil's got some health struggles going on as well, and Tiger with his incidents. I think there's a lot that needs to be sorted out in their personal lives. I do hope we see them back eventually, but right now, I just want to wish them well as they try to take care of themselves and the problems that they have going on in their own lives, and so that's all I'm hoping for them at this point. Anyway, we're going to get into a few more things here. The Utah Mammoth are playoff bound. They got there with a win over the Nashville Predators, clinching the playoffs, and a Anaheim Ducks loss to the San Jose Sharks. This will be their first playoff appearance as a franchise in Utah. Just kind of give us your initial reactions. We don't know what seed they're going to be. They have lost to the Carolina Hurricanes and the Calgary Flames since. But kind of just tell us what your initial reaction was to us being in the playoffs, and how excited are you about that prospect?
I'm really excited about the playoffs, to be honest. I've never witnessed a playoffs here in Salt Lake other than the NBA playoffs, but NHL playoffs are something totally different, a whole different atmosphere, a whole different fan base, and I think this city is ready to watch this team do big things, and I hope that we will be ready for whoever we face in the first round. But it has been a fun season to watch a lot of these games on TV. A lot of these players have done really well. Clayton Keller, all these guys. I just am really excited for this team to go throughout the playoffs, especially Dylan Gunther, who had 40 goals this year in all of his career, and all these guys.
Yeah, it's certainly been a team effort. As Zach said, obviously a big accomplishment with Dylan Gunther getting 40 goals, but Clayton Keller leading the team in points. We've seen good contributions from guys like Lawson Krause, Nick Schmaltz. It's been a total team effort, and that's what I've really liked to see from this team throughout this season, is they've just come together as a team, represented this city very well, and I'm just proud to call myself a Mammoth fan, and certainly will be cheering them on no matter who they face in the playoffs. Zach, if you had a preference of who you wanted us to play in this postseason, who would you like to see us play in the first round of these playoffs?
I would like to see us play the Anaheim Ducks and then maybe the Colorado Avalanche. But I just think that the Avalanche are just too dangerous, especially in the first round with the kind of lineup that they have. I'm kind of skeptical about it, but I really would like to see them play the Anaheim Ducks in the first round and then the Avalanche and then so on and so on. But this team has been really fun to watch with all these guys doing really well. Dylan Gunther, Clayton Keller, Lawson Krause, and company. It's just going to be a really great atmosphere for this team to play in front of these fans at home in a playoff atmosphere that they've never seen before. Because before, I don't know if they got into the playoffs when they were their old name, but they didn't have a big crowd in Arizona. They played in a college arena with not very many seats available. But yeah, it's going to be a really exciting time for us Mammoth fans, and I'm just excited for this state to see this team run into the playoffs the winning way.
Well, right now, too, just to note, we are tied with Edmonton and Anaheim with 90 points. I know they are higher seeds than us based on winning percentage and other things, but 90 points is a great season, 42 and 32 overall. We've lost a couple of games here recently, but we've clinched the playoffs, and so super exciting stuff coming for Mammoth fans going into the playoffs. A couple of more stories we need to cover. Michigan Wolverines head coach Dusty May, I should note that he's a national champion, just won the national championship over UConn, has agreed to a deal that will keep him in Ann Arbor for many years to come. Michigan Athletic Director Wade Manuel said Saturday. Manuel made the comment during a ceremony celebrating Michigan's NCAA tournament championship. Obviously, I think this is well-deserved for Dusty May. He had a great career as well at Florida Atlantic before coming over to Michigan. Made the Final Four with Florida Atlantic a few years back. But this is a tremendous accomplishment, winning a national championship with a great team. They had 90 points in every game up until the championship game. They didn't have 90 points in the championship game, but held off a close game against UConn to clinch the March Madness championship. I think this was a great hire for this team, and I'm just excited to see what Michigan does going forward into the future. We're going to get into some University of Utah content real quick, and I'll get Zach's reaction to this. Hailey Maestretti threw a complete game 5-hit shutout as the Utah Ute softball team knocked off number 1 Texas Tech Red Raiders 4-0 on Saturday afternoon in Big 12 action at the Dumke Family Softball Stadium in Salt Lake City, Utah. This is the program's first win over the nation's number 1 ranked team since 2017, when they recorded 2 victories over number 1 Arizona. And as a Utah sports podcast, we want to cover these Utah sports subjects, especially when a team beats the number 1 team in the country, and that's great for Utah athletics. Congratulations to Hailey on her complete game shutout. That's amazing. And Zach, I just want to get your thoughts on what maybe some people aren't talking about, but is certainly a monumental achievement in the realm of Utah sports. Tell us about it.
I'm really excited for what's to come in the Utah athletics department. To see all these teams that we don't really talk about much do really well, that's really exciting for this fan base of Ute fans to see these teams compete with the number 1 team in the country. And to be honest, I haven't really followed Utah softball all that much, but now that all the other sports are done for a while, we will continue to focus on these smaller sports until fall. But I'm really excited for this softball team for beating the number 1 team in the country. I'm sure that they are really excited for each other. I'm sure the fan base that goes to these games were really excited too. I'm just overly hyped about what's to come within the University of Utah athletic department, as in teams wise.
Yeah, certainly. And we're going to go from kind of a good team to kind of a struggling one here. We're going to transition into the Utah Jazz. They snapped their 10-game losing streak with a 147-101 victory over the Memphis Grizzlies on Friday night. Both John Concher and Besme Bang had 11 rebounds. John Concher with 11 points. Besme Bang led all scorers with 27, both recording a triple-double. They've become the first teammates in NBA history to achieve the feat in the same game while also coming off the bench. Huge congratulations to those two guys. Blake Hinson also led all scorers with a career-high 30 points. I'm sorry, Besme Bang did not lead all scorers. It was Blake Hinson who led all scorers with 30 points. But the problem with this is that the Jazz now have a 10% less of a chance to get a top 4 pick by beating the Grizzlies. A lot of people were calling this the biggest tank off in NBA history. We know the Grizzlies have also been struggling this year. They're going to be trading some key pieces going forward. We actually got Jaren Jackson from the Memphis Grizzlies earlier this season. And so while the Utah Jazz can celebrate a win and be happy with how well some of these role guys performed, and I think that's something to be excited about as a Jazz fan, it does kind of suck that this win kind of hurts our chances of getting that top draft pick that we so desperately need going forward. Give us your reaction.
We'll see what happens, but with the loss in Los Angeles last night, we may have an even a little bit smaller chance, even though with the victory over Memphis, to be honest. Now that the season has come to an end, we will just have to wait until May 10th for the lottery pick to see where we end up as player-wise. But I am hopeful that we'll get a top 5 pick. But James is right. With this win against the Grizzlies, our chances of getting a top 5 pick are 10% or lower. Especially last year when we were in that draft lottery, we had a chance to get the number 1 pick. But that obviously went to the Dallas Mavericks. So my hope in this offseason, we can at least get a decent player. Even if it isn't a top 5 pick, I would be happy with whoever we bring in. Just because us Jazz fans are loyal to this team. But yeah, I just think that the lottery will be really interesting to see who gets the top pick. And I just want to reiterate that Jazz fans are next to none loyal to this team through thick and thin. But I know we've had our struggles over the last 6 or 7 years within the front office, management moving around, key pieces leaving and coming. So yeah, it'll just be interesting to see where the chips fall where they may with this lottery, but I'm really hopeful.
I think the Jazz also need to, and I know this is going to be tricky, but find a way to make some moves in free agency. Go out and get a Giannis or a John Morant or somebody like that. I know that's not going to be super easy as it sounds. Players don't really want to play in Utah, it seems like, but I certainly hope we can just get somebody to get the city excited. It's not just about, in my opinion, winning championships. These fans in Salt Lake, they deserve excitement. They deserve a player to come in here and bring that buzz back to the city of Salt Lake and bring basketball back to the forefront of this city. We know the Utes have also been struggling in basketball, so not a lot of great basketball stories to talk about in the state of Utah. And so I just want to see something to where we get somebody exciting to give the city buzz again, and then ultimately hopefully get a young core or some pieces to help us build toward the future and hopefully get us back to where the Jazz ultimately want to end up.
Can I add one more thing to that?
Yeah.
I would really like to see Giannis or John Morant come into this program within the team to really reiterate this playoff atmosphere to get us back into the playoffs. Because both of those guys have seen the playoffs and know what it feels like. And I know that the Jazz have failed short the last couple of years not being in the playoffs. But I am hopeful that we can make some key moves in the offseason. Maybe Larry Markkinen, maybe not. All these other guys. Keontae George, I'm not sure what we're going to do with him. Hopefully he sticks around. But I'm just going to go out on a limb here as well. Bring LeBron James to the Utah Jazz. And I know some of you think that's crazy, but you never know. Even if he was going to go to Cleveland, I would really like to see him come here instead.
Yeah, and I certainly agree. And we do like to go off on limbs on this podcast. But I know a lot of people aren't going to like that. I just hope we get a star to our city and hopefully get to where we need to be. We do need some buzz, though. And regardless of what people want to say about we don't need stars, they're going to interfere with our city, I think we do, because we just need a buzz going through Salt Lake. And I think going forward, that would bring fans to the stadium, to the arena, and I think it would help us generate a lot of interest in the Jazz again that hasn't been there. There hasn't been a lot of sold-out games recently. So,
James, you work at the arena. What's the atmosphere like between Jazz games and Mammoth games?
It's a lot different. The Jazz, you can tell based on the fan interest that the Jazz are a struggling franchise. And not just wins and losses, but there's not a lot of buzz around this team. A lot of our star players have been out with injuries and various other issues. And so the Mammoth have been generating a lot of buzz. Obviously, they've been performing well. They have exciting players like Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz and Logan Cooley and Dylan Gunther that, frankly, the Jazz just don't have those players that people really are interested in coming to watch play. And so I know that the NBA has had problems with players sitting out. It would be nice to be able to come and watch a Lauri Markkinen or Keontae or somebody else play, but we are a city that needs more buzz with basketball. There's been a shortage of fans at the Delta Center. They haven't gotten the support that they need, and so that's the reason I've reiterated, and I'll reiterate it again, that we need to have somebody come here, a big-time free agent, to get the Delta Center popping again and to generate more fan interest in the game of basketball generally.
What are you hearing about from Jazz fans at the actual arena during Jazz games? Do you think that they're interested going into the future as well as season ticket holders?
I think they're interested going into the future, but I do know that there's been a lot of frustration within the fan base about the way this team's performing and the issues that have been prevalent within this organization over the course of the last 2 or 3 years. We've seen a decline in fans attending games. We've seen people being disinterested and dissatisfied with their experience at the arena. And so I just hope for the best for the future. And I can only hope that the Jazz start performing better and that the front office starts making better decisions going forward to generate what the fan base wants and what the team needs to improve going forward. Anyways, a couple of more items before we get on out of here. Doc Rivers is departing as the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, sources told ESPN on Sunday. The Bucks will embark on their third head coaching search in 3 years. The Bucks will pay Rivers his 8-figure salary for the 2026-27 season. Doc Rivers, in some ways a controversial coach, or just a coach that many people don't really believe should be in the league anymore. I'm kind of sad to see it end this way. I'm afraid this is the end of Doc Rivers' head coaching career in the NBA. It's been kind of sad ever since he won the 2008 championship in Boston. with the big three of Garnett, Pierce, and Ray Allen. But it's been sad to kind of see that things haven't gone his way ever since then. Lost a lot of key games in the playoffs, blown a couple of big leads in series with different teams, and I just kind of feel sad that it has to end this way.
He has been a really good coach throughout his career, wherever he's been. I am really sad to see that this may be the end of his NBA professional career as a head coach, but I have really enjoyed watching him transition into each place that he's been in, including Boston and Milwaukee, and I think the Philadelphia 76ers as well. Hats off to him for a great career, but I hope that maybe he can at least have a role in the Bucks organization. I'm really just kind of sad for him and his family. I think he's been mistreated here and there with players, and I hear that the Bucks front office and the locker room are really frustrated with him and as a coach. They just wanted to move on from him.
Last thing before we get on out of here, and I'm just going to touch on this very briefly, but Minnesota Timberwolves legend Kevin Garnett made a special appearance for Fan Appreciation Night for the regular season finale with the Timberwolves. They locked in the number 6 seed in the Western Conference, and the Pelicans were eliminated from the playoffs. The main attraction was that this was Garnett's first visit to the Target Center in 8 years. We know he's had some clashes with the front office, with the Timberwolves, but great to see him back there with the fans and great to see him interacting again. So
that's really exciting for him to be back to a place where he's familiar with the fan base that has been behind him from day one. And I'm just really thrilled to see him back in Minnesota, and I hope that he can be within the front office at some point. But I hear that he is getting his jersey retired next year, which will be exciting for him.
Yeah, certainly. And guys, that'll about wrap things up. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Really appreciate the love and the support on behalf of me and Zach. And we will see you guys on episode 14. Thank you.
And we thank you for being with us. And we are just really thrilled and happy to have you follow along each and every week. We couldn't do this without you. It's just been a really fun and exciting time in this podcast, doing this with James. He's a great co-host. We're just so blessed to do this for each and every one of you. Thank you for all of your love and support. It means the world to us. We couldn't do this without you. And yeah, we will see you on episode 14.